Hello everyone. From TV Land, you are now tuned in to the Maria Cozette Show, where we interview multifaceted professionals who exercise both sides of the brain, logical and creative. I couldn't say enough about my guest today, Dr. Armand Dorian, the CMO of USC Verdugo Hills Hospital, who also happens to be a very successful entrepreneur and TV personality. For more information about the show, visit mariacozette.com/television and stay with us for a great show. I have an exceptionally fantastic guest today. Very blessed to have him on my set. My guest is Dr. Armand Dorian, Chief Medical Officer of USC Verdugo Hills Hospital, who also happens to be a successful entrepreneur and TV personality. Hello, how are you?
Great, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. For the purpose of our interview, is it okay if I call you Armand?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's my name.
Yeah. So let's talk about your journey in television. When was the first time you were on TV? What kind of role was it? Tell us the story.
So to begin with, my father did a lot of things in media. He's an architect, but also more of like a Renaissance guy artist.
Oh,
he had his own
wow.
TV show when I was growing up. But personally, I wasn't really involved in TV until when I was working in the ER as a physician. I used to get a bunch of emails that would ask for shows, information to put on a show,
Right.
Or ideas. And I kept deleting it like spam until one night I had a horrific case, and it was very emotionally traumatic for me. And so cathartically, I sat there and I just, you want a story? Here's a story. So
Right.
I typed out a story to them, I sent it to them, and immediately the producer called back crying, saying, this is the saddest story, we can't put this on TV. And then they said, but do you have anything funny? And I said, yeah, I think I have a funny story. And so I told them the story, and then they asked me to come on set and tell the story. After I told the story, they're like, do you think you could do it on camera? And I said, sure. And then finally they asked me if I could act as myself. And I said, for sure, I don't want anybody else acting as me.
Yes, please.
And so I did that, and it was the show called Untold Stories of the ER, which was on the Learning Channel. And it became a pretty big success.
Yes,
so I
4
did that.
seasons.
Yeah, I did about
Pretty
4
big,
seasons
yeah.
of that. And a lot of episodes. And an interesting thing about TV, as you know, is once you start doing some of the things, you start meeting a lot of people. And a show like Untold Stories of the ER has a lot of different producers, a lot of different writers, who then branch off doing other things. And that led me to gain opportunities in doing things on Discovery Channel, National Geographic, and other smaller shows that kind of branched off, and I started getting exposure in the media world, and I started realizing the power of edutainment, or educational shows in an entertainment format.
Edutainment, I love that. You should, coin that term.
I can't take credit. It's out there. Somebody else has said it before.
Oh,
me.
well. Well, then with that said, let me ask you, why let's talk about actually, so the role of media in healthcare is what I'm trying to get at. Why is it so important? Would you encourage other physicians to follow the platform?
One of the biggest shortcomings as physicians is our ability to reach people, and we have really blown it in media. If you really ask anybody who is our Surgeon General right now, they probably won't be able to answer that.
Right.
Most people would only remember C. Everett Koop, the guy with the big beard who said smoking is bad for you. But ever since then, we really don't have anybody who's been our voice. There are a few people that I think people would immediately mention. It would be like a Dr. Phil or a Dr. Oz or Dr. Drew. And why is that so important? Because most of what we need to do as physicians is communicate to the public. And the best way to communicate is through media. I can see on a great day in an ER maybe 40, 50 patients. But if I do a show like the fake show ER, which is one of the best shows ever, we would have 13 million people watching one night.
Right.
So the potential for me to save someone's life by doing a show like that is huge.
Right, and I suppose with that said, not every physician should followed the platform. It's not made for everybody. It's clearly worked out for you.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's not for everybody. I think everybody should understand that there is power in it. Now with social media, even those that don't want to be in front of a camera can even do things in their privacy without being embarrassed, but actually communicate. You know, a viral video, people, hundreds of millions of people now can watch something if you do it right, and you do it in a way where people are entertained and educated at the same time.
Yes, and you know what about the negative aspects of social media, like the ability to convey inaccurate medical advice or information, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm old enough to say that pre the web, when I was a doctor, what we would do is we would come to a physician, I'd say, you have appendicitis, and they'd be like, okay, thank you, doctor. But now most of my work is trying to convince people what they don't have. Because they get online, they search WebMD, and they're like, oh my God, doctor, I have appendicitis. I'm like, hold on. And the same thing is true now, even more so with social media, because you get on these social media bandwagons, people, while they're in the emergency department, are shooting pictures, asking friends, and trying to get information in. Obviously, because they're anxious and they're nervous and they want to reach out to their friends, but unfortunately, a lot of times that can lead them down the wrong path.
Right.
So we have to make sure we have some sort of credibility in our sources. And that's, again, another reason why doctors need to be using these sources to be able to reach the patients, the people.
Yeah, absolutely. Clearly, you have a lot of facets going on in your life, and I want to ask you how you balance being an administrative leader at the hospital, treating patients, because you still do that, and then also working in media.
You know, that's a great question. Obviously, you're extremely busy. You do a lot yourself. The way I look at it is the most important commodity that we have as individuals is time. And once you know that time is so precious and so fleeting, what do you do with that time? And for me, don't waste it. So I want to do things that I'm passionate about, can affect others, and I can be proud about. And hopefully those will be a leading example for those who follow me. So that's kind of what inspires me to do more. Yes, sometimes I'd rather sleep in, but actually, if I do, I regret it, because there's so much more that can be done. So that's kind of what drives me, and that's how I feel like I get things done.
Amazing. Thank you. We have a lot more to talk to Dr. Dorian about, because there's a lot more than this that he does. So stay with us. 7Q Spa Laser and Aesthetic Center has opened its doors to their new location in Glendale, a luxurious space offering cutting-edge technologies, including laser hair removal for men and women, all injectables and fillers, Botox, Restylane, Kybella, Juvederm Ultra Plus, and all other variations, PDO thread lift, PRP facial with mesotherapy and microneedling. Visit their new location, 7Q Spa Laser and Aesthetic Center. Welcome back to the Maria Cozette Show. My guest today is Dr. Armand Dorian, CMO of USC Vertigo Hills Hospital, entrepreneur and TV personality. So we've talked a lot about your journey, and I'd like to talk about your business venture and your entrepreneurial spirit. So let's talk about Pop, the social media platform. Very interesting, very innovative. Tell me about it.
Well, you know, one of the things I like besides medicine is trying to push my limits in other fields, and sometimes those are entrepreneurial business ventures like you're mentioning. And this is a social media platform that I feel like is really important for everybody. Right now, all of the social media outlets that we have steal our identity, steal our data. There's no privacy, there's no security. Sure, we get to use the cool apps, but we're actually selling ourselves without knowing the consequences.
Right.
So Pop is a platform which is the complete opposite. We've turned the entire business model on its head, where the app creators, we own nothing. You own everything. This is your home. This is your domain. This is your data. This is your privacy. Nobody's allowed to have that unless you want to give authority to have it and you want to actually charge for it. So it's really important, because if you think about the principles of freedom, they're based on your ability to speak and say what you want. Currently, the way social media is there, it's out there in a with false pretense.
Yeah.
When you say something to your followers, you don't know how many of them see it, and sometimes you're restricted in what you can say and what actually gets out there. So the beauty of pop is that it's a similar structure as the other social media outlets, but it allows you to have complete privacy, security, and control. So for example, if you're a musician or you have a show, you can actually use that platform to make your show and keep your show so that nobody else can use it.
Yeah.
It's so important, especially for creative people. To break it down very simply, if you post a picture, that picture is yours. And if somebody else reposts that and you didn't want them to do that, if you delete the photo off of your app, it deletes it from everywhere.
Right.
If you text somebody something and you want to addendum the text, you can do it on the spot and it changes it throughout everywhere that text went.
That is just awesome. I feel like, it's something that should be inherently understood by people, but a lot of people don't understand the severity of the issues that come along with being on Instagram, being on Facebook, and all these platforms. So it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I think people are now realizing, because they're seeing the spookiness of when you're on a particular platform and all of a sudden what you were just saying 10 minutes earlier
Ads pop
is
up.
popping up on your
Yeah.
phone. So you're like, who's listening to me? What do they know about me? Again, we're still in its infancy. Our future generations are going to look back and say, why were these people blindly giving all of their data away?
Yeah.
So we're waking up to that, and pop is the answer to not do that anymore and give you back your house. I'm giving the key back to your own home so that you can decide who you let in and who you don't.
Yeah, and future generations will be like, it's all about pop.
That's right.
They'll be popping. Yeah, it'll be popping. So, I know that you used to dabble in music. I didn't know, and I just found out before our interview that you sing. So tell me about how that helped you. I know that you played music, or sang, I should say, during residency. So that must have alleviated some of the stress that comes along with that. So let's talk about music a little bit.
Sure. Do you want me to sing the answer? No.
I would love that.
It's not happening.
Don't even ask me that. I would say yes.
As a kid, I loved singing. For some reason, I was always the guy, chosen by our choir teacher to come up and sing. And so when I was in residency, I loved rock. I loved being in that spotlight. I loved writing music and then singing the song and then hearing people who I don't even know who they are sing back the song.
What a great
so
feeling.
That's a feeling that I think everybody on this planet should try at least once. And during my residency, I literally used to work at UCLA, which is not too far off Sunset. And so I would leave a shift in my scrubs, drive down, meet my friends, and we would play at one of the local clubs.
So
and
cool.
It was a great experience. It's an amazing thing, not just physically, doing it, but emotionally, spiritually, and it's something that you can't buy. You have to try, and when you do it, you realize the rush and the rewards from it, and they're forever. It'll help you in other decisions you have in your life. So anyway, I think it's really important.
Yeah, beautifully said. Music absolutely feeds your soul, and a lot of artists kind of chase the whole dream and fame, and I think I've always thought that's very wrong, and I could tell you're passionate about music itself. I'm always grateful that I have a voice to sing, and it's a great creative outlet, so yeah.
Fame is definitely not what you want to chase. What you want to chase is the journey of actually thinking of something and bringing it to fruition.
Yes.
And when you do that, and then it actually affects a third person, then it's like the ultimate.
Amazing, yeah.
It's kind of like medicine. I learn it, I apply it, and then I can help somebody. So there is some parallels there between the singing and actually being a doctor. It's, being a physician is not all science. There's an art to it. And it's very important to be able to think creatively, because even though a lot of it is rote memorization, the way you apply it is what makes you different from the other doctors.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of nonprofits that their entire direction and mission is to heal through music. So absolutely. Yeah. So actually, that's a perfect segue into my next question. What are the similarities that you've found in media and in healthcare?
Well, both platforms reach out to people. Both platforms allow you to kind of enter someone else's world, whether it's their home, their living room, their phone, or their body. All of those are pretty intimate abilities, and it's a privilege to do them. The difference lies in, with media, your effects are not as immediate or as critical as what I do in the emergency room.
Of course, yes.
In the ER, I have about 5 minutes to gain someone's trust, for them to allow me not only into their life, but also help them make really critical decisions, and allow me to literally sometimes violate their body, like have to cut their skin or put a tube down their throat. With media, we're able to soften that. I'm able to make it or hide the pill in a nice little morsel, fluffy thing. Yeah. So, but both of them are really interesting and rewarding professions, as long as you realize the value and the honor you have of that you're actually doing it for the viewer or the patient.
Absolutely, yeah. And you would be the perfect person for me to ask, and I ask every single guest, why do you think it's important to have a creative outlet?
Well, creativity should be part of everybody's life, because your goal in life is not to just consume, but it's also to give back. And if you're going to give back, what better way to give back than in a creative way? So we can give back by building things, we can give back by saying things, but to be able to do it in an original way that leaves your mark on something is the ultimate reward. And I do that both in being a physician and as an artist or an entrepreneur or anything I try to do. I want people to walk away and say, that was Dorian, he did it. And that makes me happy. And I joke about this, but on my tombstone, I don't want them to say it was Dr. Dorian. I want them to say Armand Dorian, he was a doctor, he also did some entrepreneurial stuff, he sang in a rock band, I love that, because that's who I want myself to be represented for others, and so that I'm not a singularity, I'm a plural.
Right. You're definitely leaving a mark on this world. And thank you so much for being on my show. I truly appreciate it. Stay tuned for more of the Maria Cozette Show. The Art of Giving, where we feature a charitable organization. There has always been the persisting issue of women's equality across industries and leadership, and a relentless societal misconception. As such, focused attention is needed, one that is specifically designed for females, imperative for their sustenance and livelihood. Bloom Again Foundation is a unique organization with a mission to provide rapid response financial assistance to economically vulnerable working women when they need it most due to a medical emergency. Millions of these women are just one paycheck away from poverty. They scrape together what is needed to get by without federal assistance. But one illness in the family, a car accident, or any other medical emergency is life-changing for them. A gift from Bloom Again Foundation provides working women living at or near poverty level with the security and peace of mind needed to recover from incapacitating illnesses or maintain their households during medical emergencies. These are females looking for a hand up, not a hand down, and are eager to get back to work so that they could support their families. Happy to say that this nonprofit designates over 90% of its donations directly to these women. For more info, please visit bloomagain.org. Now it is time for us to spotlight a legend, Know the Greats. And today's great in the spotlight is Virginia Apgar, who invented the Apgar score, which assesses the health of a newborn child against infant immortality. Dr. Apgar was born in Virginia in 1909 and became an obstetrical anesthesiologist. She was the youngest of 3 children and grew up in a musical family. Her older brother passed away from tuberculosis, and her other brother had a chronic illness. More often than not, I speak with physicians about how they were inspired to follow the field of medicine. And usually, their reasoning is someone in their family is being affected by an illness. In the 1930s and 50s, infant mortality rates decreased significantly. Dr. Apgar noticed a trend of the number of infant deaths within the first 24 hours after birth. And so, she invented the Apgar score to build an assessment that would help develop a preventive measure to help infants thrive and receive the treatment they need. In later years, Dr. Apgar became the first woman to head a specialty division at Columbia Presbyterian Center. She became both an administrative leader and lead clinician. Dr. Virginia Apgar has received honorary doctorates, distinguished awards, and lifetime achievement awards. That's a wrap, everyone. Much love to my guest today, Dr. Armand Dorian. He is doing great things, so keep an eye out for him. And of course, for more information about our lovely show, you can visit mariacozette.com/television. That's all. See you next week. And remember, stay creative.